All right, so we should be good to go there. I'm going to reshare my screen. Yes, so you can upload up to 5 resumes. You can share other documents within USAJobs that may be required in order to apply for certain jobs. But without a profile, you'll not be able to do that. You can make your resume searchable, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But again, all of this is based on you having a completed profile. Basically, by making your resume searchable, recruiters, which basically in the civilian world we call employers, recruiters will be able to search the database and look at your resume and look at other information. And then you can only apply for jobs within USAJobs if you have a completed profile. So having that profile is key. So let's go here and let's take a look at, first of all, how do you create an account in USAJobs? Well, you're going to click to sign in. Oh, let's see here. Is this going to, all right. All right, hold on. Let me back up here because it may not allow me to do that. And if not, I'll just talk you through it. Let me try to do it from here. Okay. So when you click here, you notice here that it says create an account, because if you don't already have an account, obviously you won't be able to sign in. When you click here, creating an account, and I won't really be able to go through this process because I already actually have sort of a fake account, if you will, in USAJobs, but it's going to take you through about 3 or 4 steps. First of all, asking you to submit an email address that you want to be your official email address for USAJobs. This is where you'll receive notifications and any kind of information that USAJobs wants to send you. It's going to have you to verify that email address by sending a code. It's going to text the code to your cell phone. And then you will input that code, and that code then will verify your email address. And then it's going to ask you at some point to create a username and a password. And then once you've done that, then you are ready to log into your account. So let me just, I'm going to log in here to this account that I created. All right. And so basically, once you logged into your account, then you want to create your profile. Because remember, without your profile, you can't do hardly anything else. So we're going to go here to profile. And basically, my profile is already set up, but you can see that it's pretty basic information. The first part of the profile here starts out with you submitting your contact information, okay? And once you have submitted your contact information, your email address, your phone number, then it's going to ask you here about your citizenship. And when it comes to your citizenship, and I'm going to click edit, it does give you information so that you can go down and then you can answer these questions. Are you a citizen or a national? That will either be yes or no. And then it's going to ask you some questions here about, are you registered for the Selective Service? And it gives you a couple of different options here. You select the option that fits you. And then basically you're going to go down and you're going to answer these other questions. Here it's going to ask you about the hiring path. We're going to talk more about the hiring path in just a minute, and it'll make more sense to you once we go through the hiring path. But basically, this is your pathway into the federal government, and you have to select which pathway best fits you. And there are several different pathways that you can pick, as you can see here. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute, and it'll make much more sense. But just know that when you are at this point, you will select the pathway that best fits you. And for this one, mine was U.S. citizen and a veteran. I retired from the Air Force in 2007, and so I am a veteran, and I don't fit any of these other categories. Okay, so let's return to the profile, and I think you're kind of starting to get the idea. Here it is going to ask you about your work experience. So if you do have work experience, and you'll just go down and basically it's a sort of fill in the blank process, you can list up to as many as 50 different jobs or experiences. So for those who may be applying to the federal government, who have been around for a while and have more experience than others. And, of course, everybody who's applying has different experience levels. We have some that this may be their first professional experience and may not have any work experience at all. And we may have others that have an abundance of work experience. And so they give you that range. So you can actually submit up to 50 different work experiences within USAJobs. And you can see the other categories here that you would fill in, and it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to speak a second language. You'll see here that this is optional. Some things are optional, and you don't have to list any information in there, and it will let you know that. So once you have completed your profile, you are now ready to go to work. Now you can upload documents into USAJobs. What I recommend, and certainly you're going to have a resume or resumes within USAJobs. Now, just for your notes, if you're taking down any notes, or some of you may already know this, you can upload as many as 5 different resumes, as I mentioned earlier. Make sure you name them something different so that you can identify them. And there are 2 ways that you can do this. You can either build a resume by using the resume builder, which is what I recommend, or you can upload a resume that you already have into USAJobs. The reason why I recommend building a resume is because, number one, the HR people are already familiar with that. And then number 2, it makes sure that you cover all of the areas that should be covered within your resume is already built into this resume builder. Okay, but again, you don't have to use the resume builder, but it really just is a secure way to make sure that you cover everything that needs to be covered, and knowing that again, the human resource people who will be looking at your resume, they're already familiar with all of these different areas. But you can upload your own resume that you have put together into USAJobs. And by clicking, and if you're going to upload it, it's basically just going to ask you to identify where you have that resume housed. Once you identify that, then you can just upload it right into USAJobs. And so you can see here, I've got just a couple of made up resumes. Now, here's the other thing I want to point out, and I would strongly encourage you to do this. Once you have your resume in USAJobs, it is good to make that resume searchable. That means that a recruiter can now see and have access to your resume. But once you click searchable, not only does that make your resume searchable, but it also makes your profile accessible to recruiters. So that means that they can now see your resume, and they can now go in and they can see your profile. But keep in mind, you can only make one resume at a time searchable in USAJobs. Although you've got 5 resumes uploaded, you can't make all 5 searchable. You can only make one searchable at a time. But when you make that one searchable, it also makes your profile searchable for recruiters. Okay? And then here you're able to list your preferences, because what happens is when you go in and you begin to do a job search, and let me say, when you do your job search, it's best to sign into USAJobs, because you can do a job search without signing into USAJobs. But you want to sign into USAJobs because once you do a job search, what the system will do is the system then will look at your preferences to make sure that the jobs that you are looking at, the jobs that you are searching, are jobs that's going to be a fit for you based on your preferences. So let's click here. So for example, because I know the question is, well, what are the preferences? What kind of things are being considered? Well, number 1, are you willing to travel? There may be some that says, I want a job that has no travel, or I really enjoy traveling. So those jobs that require travel, if you say you don't want to travel, usually means that it's not going to be the best fit for you. Okay, and so the system then will avoid those types of jobs that do not fit your preferences. All right, And then you're even able to give what percentage of duty time will you travel if you do select that you're open to travel. Are you willing to relocate? Desired locations. You can even come here and pick appointment type. And of course, if you're looking for full-time, usually I recommend that you want to pick something that's permanent. But you can see some of the other categories here, which we'll talk about Presidential Management Fellows. We'll talk about the recent graduate internships. But you can see some of the other categories here as well as to what type of work schedule are you willing to accept, full-time, part-time. Okay. So now that I have at least gotten you somewhat familiar with USAJobs, and you, again, like I said, you can actually apply for jobs within USAJobs. And then anytime you apply for a job, you can actually come back to here to get the status of your application. If you've submitted an application for a particular job in USA and you want to be able to see what is the status of your application, that will be posted in your account so that you can track it and you can see the updates. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to sign out, because we're going to spend the rest of our time here in USAJobs. And of course, this is outside of your particular account. But just remember, when you are starting your job search, you want to sign in and do that from within your account within USAJobs. All right. The other thing I want to point out here is if you want to understand the federal application process, the whole process from when you submit your application and what happens from there, you can click here. And basically, this is sort of a step-by-step that really just kind of walks you through what happens. It starts here with, just as we said, you got to create an account or a profile on USAJobs. But first of all, you got to create an account so that you can create a profile. And then once you've done that, remember what we said, in order to be able to search for jobs, you have to have an account, you have to have a profile. So once you have that profile, you can now begin to search for job opportunities within USAJobs. All right, and then the great thing about it is, again, is that as you are doing your search, you are able to use the filters, which we'll look at to sort of narrow your search process down. USAJobs within your account is going to track, again, the types of jobs that you're looking for. And then if you set it up, it will send you emails either daily or weekly or monthly. Anytime jobs that are similar to the types of jobs you were looking for come open, it will give you a notification. So then that way you can go out and look at those jobs. So really, it's the system working for you. As part of the process of your application, again, you're going to review the job announcements. That's important because, number one, you want to make sure that you are eligible to be able to apply. Now, eligibility really has to do with the pathways that I mentioned to you earlier when I said there are different pathways into the federal government. That means that every agency is looking for different types of people to fill different types of opportunity. And so this has nothing to do with your resume. This has nothing to do with your experience. It has nothing to do with your skill set. They are looking for different types of people. And what do I mean by different types of people? For example, they may say, for this particular opportunity, we are looking for a veteran. If you are not a veteran, it doesn't matter what's on your resume. It doesn't matter your skill set. It doesn't matter your experience. It doesn't matter your education. If you are not a veteran, they will reject your application. Okay, this has to do with your eligibility. Okay, and then in another job, they may be looking for a person who has a disability. And in another job, they may be looking for a person who is a military spouse. Okay. This is how your eligibility differs from your qualifications, because your qualifications now has more to do with your experience, your skill set, your education level. So whenever you look at a job announcement, there are two things that you have to make sure. Number one, Are you eligible? Because when you submit that application, the first thing that they're going to do before they do anything else, they're going to make sure you are eligible, that the documentation that you have submitted shows that you are a veteran, shows that you meet the hiring path. And then next, they're going to go and look at your qualifications. All right, but this is the process. So you want to go in and review the job announcement so that you can make sure that you are eligible and that you meet the qualifications. All right, and then you want to prepare your application in USAJobs. So the next key area is within that job announcement, and this will be for almost every job that you look at within USAJobs, you want to read the how to apply. The how to apply is basically a step-by-step on how to apply for that particular job. And some jobs that you will see within the job announcement will have multiple locations. That means that there are multiple places that you could possibly work. Whenever you go in to apply for the actual position, there will come a certain portion where you can identify which location you would like to work at. So you'll have that opportunity. But once you go read through this how to apply, then you're ready to actually click on the apply button. And when you click on that, there are basically 5 steps that the computer literally is going to take you by the hand and walk you through. 5 steps to applying for that particular position. One of the 5 steps will be attaching or uploading your resume with that particular application. Okay, and then it is hitting that submit button. But before you hit that submit button, you want to take your time as you go through to make sure that you have given all of the information, that you've submitted all of the documents that they are requesting, because the federal government is a real stickler about that. They want to make sure you have to dot all your I's and cross all your T's, okay? And so I say take your time. And it may take a little bit of time, but you want to do that to make sure that you have not inadvertently left anything out that they are requesting, because then it just slows the process down. And then here you can see, then they have placed this here so that you can see, okay, this is my part. This is the process when I apply for a particular job. But then what happens once I hit that submit button? Well, then it transitions over to the agency. The agency now reviews your application, and you can click here and it sort of gives you a breakdown of what that is. They're going to go in and again, they're going to look at your eligibility. They're going to look at to make sure you meet the qualifications. All right. And then looking at your qualifications, they're going to go through and they're going to rate you. All right. And then they're going to set up an interview for those candidates that they say, out of all of the candidates that have applied for this position, we really like this set of candidates here, and we would like to interview them. Now, let me just say that nothing is going to be done. They're not even going to start any of this process until after the closeout date of whatever job you are applying for. Once the closeout date has happened, then that's when they're going to go through and they're going to begin these steps right here, reviewing your application to make sure that you're eligible, that you meet the qualifications, and then from that determining who among those that have applied for this opportunity would they like to interview, and then they will determine how they will interview you. And so now, sort of in this period of COVID, they will certainly let you know when they get in contact with you, if you've been selected, how that process will work. All right, and then after the interview, then that's when the agency is going to select the candidates that they believe that they would like to make an offer to. So it may be one candidate, it may be multiple candidates. All right, but before that process is done, usually they're going to go through a process where they have to do sort of like a background check, just to make sure that everything is okay. And then if all of that checks out, then they will actually begin the process of actually making an offer to you. All right, and so if you really wanted more information on what I've mentioned, more details, you just click here and it walks you through everything we just looked at, and it just breaks it down in a little bit more detail. So you can actually come back here, read this portion so that you're comfortable and you know what happens to your resume once you submit it. Okay, I'm going to come back to this one here in just a minute. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here, or actually we're going to go back up to here. So for those of you who are looking for full-time job opportunities, before you even begin a search here, what USAJobs has already done, they have identified some high need or critical need areas that need to be filled. Various positions to help them respond and to fight the COVID. And so these are all types of positions. Most people, when they think of that, they say, okay, we must be talking about hospital workers and that type. But no, these are various positions. And so, but these are positions that need to be filled. So, you know, they're actively searching, actively looking. And so if you're serious and you are getting ready to graduate and you're looking for some full-time opportunities within the federal government, this would be a great place to start. And as you can see here, there are 545 jobs that are out there right now that they're looking, that are critical need positions that need to be filled. One of the first things I want to show you here is I would encourage you to use the sort option that's right over here. So the sort option just makes it a little bit easier for you to flow through and find perhaps the job you're looking for. So one is you can do it by agency. So notice when I click here, this is the department. This is usually the agency. And then this right here is the job title. Okay, so you have the department, the department, the department, the agency, 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 job title. And so here we're searching by agency. So as you scroll down, you can see that it's kind of putting those like agencies together. Here you got the Department of the Air Force, Air Force, Air Force, Air Force, Air Force. And as you go down and a new department comes up, it will have all of those lumped together as well. So now here the Department of the Army, and it just continues through, and it may go on to the VA. You can go through and follow this same thing. So if you're looking by job title, then it will put those job titles. So if you're an accountant and you're looking for some accountant or engineering positions or nursing positions, and you'll see various ones, computer science, and it'll have all of those, and it just makes your search a little easier. And then if you're going to look at the minimum salary, here the minimum salary is listed here. So it starts here, and that means it's going to go up. So if you wanted to check that as a cardiologist physician, I think starting here at about as a GS or GP 14, so that's about 300,000 up to 348,000 per year for this particular job. All right, and then if you want to narrow your search down even more, you can do so here by clicking here. And what this does, this brings up other filters. All right, and so here, what these are, these little icons are those pathways that I talked about. And so you can determine now which of these pathways do you actually fit into. And so here, if you come over here and actually hold the cursor, the great thing about it is it will give you a little description. So if you're not clear about open to the public, what does that pathway mean? Well, these are jobs open to U.S. citizens, nationals, or those who owe allegiance to the U.S., the United States. And you can see over here where it gives a name to each one of these different pathways. And then as you see these over here, you can sort of get that sort of brief definition. And you can determine which of these pathways pertain to you. So let's just say open to the public and maybe recent graduate were two of the pathways, and maybe for some veterans. And so when you look, you can see, okay, this job right here is only open to the public. This one here is open to multiple different pathways. So that means veterans, those who have a disability, and you can see some of the other ones here as well. And so this allows you then to go down. So here we see there are, again, 545 jobs. So open to the public, this number means that 421 of these 545 jobs are open to the public. So if you want to identify those jobs that are open to the public, click here. Now, it doesn't mean that it's only open to the public, because you may see some other jobs. Well, in this particular case, it might be. Yeah, in this particular case, it looks like only open to the public is coming up. So when you click here, then that means that it has basically narrowed it down so that you're not going through unnecessary looking at jobs that may not fit your category. And so now you can go through and look through here. And again, you can still sort by these other options up here as well. All right, let me scroll down here, because now you can also search by salary. So if you know that you're looking for something that, you know, is maybe, let's bring this on down, bring this up here. You can pick your range, wherever you think that range should be at, and then it will make the adjustments over here so that you're looking at jobs that you feel like fit the pay range that would be appropriate for you. You can also go down and you can pick by grade, okay? And so basically grade really has to do with your level of experience, because that's how they're going to promote you. This is how, when you go to look in. So basically, when we talk about your grade, and let me see here, I jotted this down so that I could share it with you. All right, so for example, GS3 through a GS4 are usually those who are looking for internships or are currently enrolled students. Any positions that you see that are GS5 through GS7 are usually entry-level positions. So those students, once they graduate, are usually, for the most part, many of the students are going to be filling entry-level positions. Now, again, keep in mind, I said earlier that you do have some people who may be applying who have a wealth of experience, okay? And so they may come in at a slightly higher level. Anything that's GS 8 through 12 usually is at the mid-level for the federal government, and anything that's GS 13 through GS 15 is usually going to be at the senior executive level, okay? And so here you can go in and say, well, you know, I do fall into that category of, you know, being someone who is going to be a recent graduate, and so this would be a GS5 for me. And so it's going to pull those jobs that range anywhere from a GS5 on up so that you can see. All right. And so again, these are filters. So you can also search by department. So you have some people who say, I want to be a civilian working for the Air Force. I want to be a civilian working for the Army or any of these other agencies. So then you can go through and it says here, well, out of those 500 and some odd, the Department of Defense has 23 jobs. Out of those other ones, the Department of the Air Force has 8. The Army has 5, 13. So if you click that, it will only pull up that particular department and the jobs that are listed there. So it just really helps you to narrow down your job search. All right. And so let's just go back one here. All righty. Let's see here. Let me go back again. All right, so let me just do this. So we're going to click here, go back in here. There we go. We get a clean start. All right, and then so you can go down now. Here are more filters. Now, again, what this is called the occupational series number. And so what happens is that the federal government has occupations grouped within a series number. So that means that if you are looking to be an accountant, there may be various jobs as an accountant that the federal government is looking for, and it's going to assign it to a certain series. And within that series of number, you'll be able to go through and you can look up any jobs that fall within that. And I'll show you a cleaner process of that in just a minute. But anyways, here it has it so you can filter it by series. Okay, and these are the series numbers that are up here. All right, and we'll come back in just a minute where I'll show you a cleaner look at that. So there are different ways that you can go down and you can filter, and you can begin to narrow that search down and down and down. And again, more filters here, so that now you can go in, you can filter by location, you can filter by work schedule, and it'll tell you how many particular jobs are full-time, how many are out there that are part-time. You can filter by appointment type, permanent, temporary, term. You can filter by security clearance. You can filter by sensitivity and risk. Okay, so just want you to see that you can go in and you can filter down, 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 and down. All right. All right, let me go through the rest of this, and then we want to save some time for some questions. So let's go down here. These are the pathways that we mentioned here because, you know, our society is so diverse. The federal government recognized that we have a diverse society, people with all different backgrounds, training and experiences. So they wanted to create multiple pathways into the federal government for all of this the experience. So my experience may be a little bit different than yours. So some people will fit this pathway as the public. Some people will fit this pathway as veterans, Guard and Reserves. Some people have a wealth of experience and they will fit the executive level. Some people may be a person who is already working for the federal government and they just want to lateral or move into some other areas. Some people may be a spouse married to a military person, and this will be their pathway into the federal government. We're going to come to this one right here, but let me just use this one. So if you're wondering, wow, well, what does that actually mean? You can click here. And the great thing about it is that even if I wasn't sharing this presentation with you, the federal government has really taken great pains to actually write as clearly as possible what all this stuff means. So even if I wasn't sharing it, you could actually come through and just read it and probably get a very good understanding. So if you're wondering, well, do I fit the public? Well, then you can go here and you can read about the eligibility. And then they answer certain questions like, how do I know a job is open to the public? Once I go to look, and they say by seeing this icon. This icon tells you immediately that this job is open to the public. And then they encourage you to make sure that when you look at, I guess, certain job announcements, that you include all of the required documents. Okay, and so here we're going to go into students and recent graduates. And so let's click here. And what this is now, this introduces us to the Pathways program. The Pathways program was introduced by President Obama. He signed an executive order that all agencies would have the pathways. Basically, what the pathways is that there are 3 pathways underneath what's called pathways into the federal government for students and recent graduates. The first one is internships. That means that you can actually apply for pathway internships, and most pathway internships are paid. So are the recent graduates. But basically, the internship means that if you are picked up by an agency, you will work for that agency as an intern a minimum of a year, but actually that agency can continue to bring you back until you graduate. But what has to happen is you have to be able to complete 640 hours working for that agency before you graduate, before they put that degree in your hand, to qualify as having completed your internship requirements. If you are an exceptional candidate and they're just really impressed with you, an agency can cut that in half. They can actually just do away with 320 of those hours, which means that that's all you have to do is 320 hours. at the end of that time period, they can convert you to full-time competitive, which basically means that that basically they can bring you on to work in the federal government. And I think in most cases you don't have to interview because the internship was the interview. But from that point forward, you will have to interview for any other positions that you apply for. Here is the recent graduate position. This position here means that you cannot apply for this position until after you graduated, but you have 2 years in order to do so. So the clock starts ticking. So if you apply to an agency and they pick you up, then basically you'll work for that agency, I think a year and a half, 2 years, maybe in some cases. Again, this is paid. You'll be working full time. You're not competing with school because you've graduated. You're learning the agency. This is a career development program. And so if they like the way that you've performed at the end of that time period, that year and a half, 2 years, whatever that particular agency has decided, they can offer you the position full-time, non-competitive, and so they can convert you. But once they hire you, then you do move into, I think, a competitive sort of category from that point on for any future positions that you may apply for that may be with a different agency. All right, and so this is called the recent graduate positions. And then you have the Presidential Management Fellows position. This is the flagship. This right here is sort of the cream of the crop. And this is a leadership development program. So here you get 40 hours of training. You do get a mid-level mentorship. Here under this program, you're going to get 80 hours of training, as well as other steps that you will take as you go through this process. And you're also going to get top-level mentorship. So when you graduate, they have a graduation fair. And so basically, that's where the agencies are coming out because they know that these are the top of the top. So here, you're really sort of shopping yourself to the agencies. And so here, to a certain extent, it's like the agencies are coming to check you out. And this is called the Pathways program. And so you can look for opportunities under the Pathways. And so here, what they've done is they have actually pulled out some internships. Now, I've been talking full time for those of you who say, well, how do I find internship opportunities? Well, here they've actually pulled out internship opportunities. And there are 106 opportunities that are out there right now. All 106 are not necessarily Pathways opportunities because these are various internships. Some internships for the federal government are not paid. So you definitely have to look over here to make sure that you're clear as to whether or not this is a paid opportunity. How do you know if this is a recent graduate position or a student position? Because you're going to look for these icons here. And you'll see them listed over here. And if you're a recent graduate, you can click here and you can go through the recent graduate positions. And apparently, which I'm going to show you because they've pulled out the recent graduate positions as well. And there are 110 of those. But you can actually go through here and search. You can sort. As we looked earlier, you can sort by closeout date, by opening date. You can sort by agency, by department, by location, by job title. And when you go through here, it will give you the information. So let's take a look at this one. Social Service Assistant. You click here, and it's going to give you the basic information about this. It's going to give you the closeout date. It's going to give you the pay scale and grade. It's going to give you the salary range here. It's going to let you know about this particular, whether this is a permanent, this is full-time. It has one location that's located here. There are no relocation expense reimbursement for this particular position. So whatever it takes to get there, they're not going to reimburse you for it. It's not eligible for telework. And then sometimes they build in videos here to give you more information. And then here they're going to give you, basically, they're going to tell you about the duties and responsibilities within this particular position. Again, they're going to tell you about travel requirements. So here in this particular job, there's some 25% or less. You may be expected to travel for this particular position. This is, again, there is no upward mobility in this particular position. This is strictly at the GS5 position. So there is no upward mobility from here. This is a part of when I talked about the occupational series numbers, this falls under 0186. And you can see some of the different job titles within that series. They'll give you the requirements. And remember, the requirements are extremely important, but even more so the qualifications, when we talked about the qualifications. And so you need to read this very carefully to make sure that you do qualify. They'll give you the educational requirements. Here they will tell you how will you be evaluated for this particular job that you are applying for. Okay, what are they going to use to determine whether or not you are a good fit for this particular position? They do talk about here the background requirements. Here, a security clearance is not required. A drug test is required for this particular position. They're going to tell you the required documents, and you have to read this very carefully because everything that you need to apply, they're going to list that right here. Then they're going to tell you about some of the benefits that you can expect once you start this particular position. And then this is where I said they're going to kind of grab you by the hand and walk you through exactly how to apply for this particular position, even given and answering frequently asked questions. I always say here, take a picture of this or write it down. This right here is how if you have any questions about this job, anything that you don't understand, you can reach out to this particular person and they give you an email address. In a lot of instances, like here, they give you a phone number. This is usually an HR type, and they're going to ask you for the job announcement number. I'll show you where that's at, and then they can see what you see. And then they can come back and answer all of your questions, and then they'll tell you what's going to happen next. So this is pretty much how you go through and you read a job announcement. Back up here at the top, this is where the control and announcement numbers are located, where you will give to that HR type so that they can now see what you see. And then this is where you click the apply button, where I said earlier, there's basically 5 steps that you walk through. This is where you will do that process. Okay, so you are able to go through and apply this way here. Now, here, this is the A to Z index here. This right here is basically, there are over 170 federal agencies, so there's no degree that they don't have a job for. And remember I said all of the jobs may not be listed on USAJobs because some agencies will just list it on their website. This is where you find those 170 agencies. And they're big, they're small, some you've heard of, some you've not heard of. But let's just say here that you're interested in one of the larger agencies. You go here, let's say the Health and Human Services. This is all of their contact information, and they do give you that information because they don't mind you contacting them to ask about pathways or to ask about some others. Down here, they let you know who the parent agency is. In this particular case, it's the White House, and the White House itself has over 70 jobs that can be applied for. And then other related agencies. And after looking at the related agencies, you may determine that you're more interested in one of these than the agency that you came to look at. In this particular case, it's Department of Health and Human Services. But let's just say that you say, I do want to look at Health and Human Services. You click here. I encourage you to look around the website, see what that particular agency is all about to make sure that this is an agency that you wouldn't mind working for. And then somewhere within this website is where they have their careers, where you can go and see job opportunities and how to apply. So if you click here, you come down, and their careers happens to be located here. Some are a little easier to find than others. And then here you can see job openings, how to apply, people who give their stories. So they've really done a great job on their website. So when you come down, it gives you information here. It tells you where their locations around the world are located. So if you don't mind going abroad, Health and Human Services has locations all over the world. And then when you come down here, you can see here how to apply to a particular job. You click here, and now you are ready to get within the job search within this particular agency. And you can see they've already got some jobs listed here. You can do your searches here. They've got filters over here as well for you to continue your job search. All right. Here you can search for occupations by college major. So that means if you are wondering, what does the federal government call whatever your major is? What are the jobs? Do they call the different positions that would fit your major? So if you're an accountant, here are the various jobs that would be for those who are accounting majors. And then it has a occupational series number. So if you want to look for occupations within that series, when you go back to do your search, you just put in that particular number and it will bring up all of the different jobs that are related. Anytime you see the asterisk, that means you must have a completed degree. If you don't see the asterisk, it means that you need to have the experience that they're looking for, maybe paired with some classes, but you don't necessarily have to have a completed degree. And you can go down here and you can find your particular major. Some have more than others. You can see here business administration has a pretty good few. I think engineering is here's another one here that has a pretty good few. Engineering has quite a bit. All right, and then you can find your series. So let's go back here and let's put in a series number here. So 0511, and this will let you know if they have anything out there. So right here, this right here is dealing with auditing. And so you can see here that there are 37 positions that fit within this occupational series number. Okay, and you can go down and use all of the filters there as well. Go back and get a clean start. You can come here and you can put in nursing or nurse. And then down here, you can pick the specific type of nurse, registered nurse, midwife, anesthetist, okay? Let's just say registered. Okay, 17 positions came up. All right, if you're interested in Fort Gordon and say, well, I want to see what may be there, you can put in Fort Gordon, oops, my bad, Georgia. Hit the search. All right, and then anything that's in Augusta, you'll see it over here to the left. Will usually have a blue, sort of like a little blue marker. For example, here's Augusta. This is at the VA hospital. Here's a couple of positions at the VA hospital. And you can go through and you can look at those particular opportunities. You can go back in here, again, a clean start. You can put in here internship. You could put in a specific internship. Let's just go with this attorney one since they have that there. And so you can see here that they are a couple. And again, you can always use your sort to go through and sort through. Okay, I'm going to stop there because there's just so much to share on this. I really wanted this to be user friendly for you, but again, you can see as you scroll down and you pick the particular hiring path, it's going to go in and give you that information. Everything that I shared about pathways, if you come here and click on any of these three, it's going to explain to you everything that I just explained to you. So if I went over it a bit quickly, you can still go back and you can get that information. All right, so I'm going to invite you to open up your mics, or Amanda, if you have any questions in the chat, we can get those questions.
Yes, we just got a question from Jen. She says, can you speak about grad students and internships?
Yeah, so if you are a grad student, if you are a grad student, you can actually do an internship, just like if you were an undergraduate student. And I think the same thing would apply, but you can also apply here for what's called the Presidential Management Fellows Program. That one that I said is sort of their top level, their flagship, sort of cream of the crop. You either have to have a master's or an advanced or professional degree. But now do keep in mind that you cannot start this opportunity or this process until after you have completed your degree. Okay, and then they'll walk you through that whole PMF process. But it's really a great opportunity for our graduate students and those who have their doctorate. Are there some other questions? And you can either put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself and you can just ask the question directly. If not, I'll show you one final thing, since this was just to go right up to about 4 o'clock and we're at about 3:54 now. I want to show you one other website. So let me let me see, Amanda. So if I go to a new website, let me see if you guys can go there with me or if I'll need to stop sharing. Let me just see here. This is the, for those who want to write it down, it's called gogovernment.org. gogovernment.org. And let's hit it and see if you guys will, are you guys able to see that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, great. So I don't have to back out. What this is put together by a group called Partnership for Public Service. Most of the people that work for this organization have at some point in their life worked for the federal government. And they want to see more graduates and those who are currently enrolled students consider the federal government as a career. So to make USAJobs user-friendly, they put together this website literally to walk you through, so that the idea is that if you came and spent some time at this website and then went to USAJobs, it would be a breeze, because they show you and teach you how to move around. They explain terminology. They explain the federal government. They explain the whole pay system and how the pay system works and experience level. So when you see a GS something, you understand that GS stands for general schedule, and then you understand the pay grade, all of that. So here you can come here where it says how to apply, and here they got applying for a federal job. They totally break that down. How to search for jobs on USAJobs, how to read a federal job announcement, how to write your federal resume, how the interview process will work, and tips on submitting your job application, negotiating your offer. And so you can go, and here's that whole GS process that I mentioned. And you go through here and they just really break that down for you. So this is a great website that just will help you to be able to understand terminology, understand how to move about. Yeah, and so it just makes it user friendly. So again, if I wasn't doing this presentation, if you were willing to come and spend some time and do a little reading, basically you would have been able to put all of this together yourself. Okay, Amanda, so we got about 4 minutes left. Any other questions in the chat, or anybody who has a question for me?
We have two more questions. Number
Okay.
one, if you're graduating within a year, should you apply to jobs that are for recent grads due to how long the process takes? Also, if you're going to enter a graduate program after graduating with a bachelor's degree, can you apply to jobs for both current students and recent grads, or just current students?
Okay, so that was a lot. So yeah, let me, and just forgive me if I forget, or help me if there's a portion of that. But
all
that
right,
was
let's go. You need to go with the first part. If you're graduating within a year, should you apply to jobs that are for recent grads due to how long the process takes?
Yes, I would encourage you to apply for recent graduates, and here's why. Because part of the requirement is, if you're going to go for an internship, you have to be able to complete 640 hours working for that agency before you graduate. And being in school, you have to complete your college, because that's all a part of it. So they don't want this to interfere. So usually there's no way to do that, complete all of those hours before you graduate. Now, again, if you are an exceptional candidate, they can cut off, 320 of those hours, which means that you don't have to complete 320. But the short end of that is, if you're within a year, I think you're looking at the recent graduate. And okay. What was the matter? Okay.
The second part was, if you're going right into grad school, can you apply to jobs for both current students and recent graduates, or just current students?
Yeah, so if you're going into graduate school, you can apply, as I understand it now, for the internship opportunity, and you can apply as a recent graduate. I'm pretty sure, as a recent graduate, but I got a slight question mark behind that, but I'm pretty sure. And you can apply for the Presidential Management Fellows Program, which is that last category. So you can as a graduate student or a professional, somebody who's completed a professional degree, I think you can apply for any one of the three, but I don't think you can apply for two at the same time. If you are an undergraduate, you have to apply for a internship. And if you are close to graduating, then you would apply for the recent graduate.
Okay, and then Corey joined us late because he was they were taking a test. They said, can you show, for example, how many internships roughly exist near Augusta currently?
So what you would do to figure out that information is that if there are any within now any federal internships, is you would go back to here, and then you can put in internship. You can just put in internship in general. Now there is some here for political, but and then you can put in the state, and it would let you know from around the state if there are any right now. And then you can go through and see, notice here it says multiple locations. So one of those locations, this is a pathways, perhaps is within the state of Georgia. Doesn't mean that it's limited to Georgia, because the multiple locations, and with multiple locations, I've seen some opportunities where there's 75 different opportunities scattered all across the United States, and some even abroad. But this is how you would do it. You would put in internship. If there's a specific internship, you can get very specific, and you can put in city, state, or zip code. Again, when you start putting in like a zip code, the opportunities are going to shrink down, because now your search is within a much smaller area. Let me also say this. Let me put in here, for example, I want to show you this one other thing. If you put in here, for example, let's say Fort Gordon again. You know, I'm sorry, let me do it clean. Okay, let's do it clean here. All right, so Fort Gordon, Georgia, and you hit search. Notice here that this is within a 25-mile radius. But let's say you say, hey, I'm willing to travel further than 25 miles if it's the right opportunity. Then you go over here to the right, and where it says more filters, then you are able to adjust the distance that you're willing. And you see, as soon as I let go, it automatically made the adjustment right here. So these filters, just keep in mind, they can really work for you. But you notice I keep saying a clean start, because sometimes when you start looking for opportunity on top of opportunity, sometimes the system kind of starts meshing them together. So I always go back here and click on USAJobs, and that takes me back, so I have a clean, fresh start in terms of my my look. And then one final thing, at the very bottom of the page, they do answer questions like this. You know, resumes are scanned by keyword by an automated system. So they say here, this is partially true. Real people, HR types, do look at resumes. However, some agencies also use the automated. For those agencies that use the automated, basically it is a two-part process. An automated application review process to include all the required areas of the applicant's eligibility and qualification. And please, as I've been really emphasizing those two words, eligible and qualification. And then here, a manual review will take place at some point by an HR specialist of an applicant's resume to validate the information in the application package. So they do have that. So Amanda, I see that we're a little bit over our time. Is there a final question, or did that kind of do it there?
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate you all attending this presentation today. I certainly hope that it was helpful. And if you need to schedule an appointment with me, you certainly can do that through Handshake, or you can call our office here at 706 706-737-1604. That's 706-737-1604. Or you can email our Career Center email address, and we can schedule that appointment for you to sit down and talk specifically about your situation. Also, if you happen to be a student with a disability, WRP, which stands for the Workforce Recruitment Program, registration started on August the 24th. It will go through October the 14th. You can only apply if you are a student with a disability, and the federal government considers that disability is very, very broad. So almost a lot of things fit into that. But this program is designed for students who are looking to do an internship or get a full-time job in the federal government. It is designed to introduce those students to employers. Basically, it's designed so that you can get hired. You can get an internship. You could get a full-time job opportunity through this particular program. And but you do have to be qualified, and you do have to be a student with a disability. So see me, reach out to me. I'm going to have 2 information sessions. If you go to Handshake, you'll see them listed out there if you're interested. If you have more questions, you can reach out to me, or you can schedule an appointment. All right, I want to thank my colleague Amanda Bolin for assisting me. I want to thank you all for attending. It's been great. It's been a joy, and hopefully I'll see you in an upcoming appointment. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.